The most dangerous moment in any life comes not from external threat, but from the creeping realization that you have been living someone else's story. This is not about becoming antisocial or retreating from love, but about discovering that the person you've been performing as may not be the hero of your own mythic tale. We spend years perfecting our social masks, learning the intricate choreography of belonging, smiling at conversations that feel hollow, nodding at opinions that don't resonate in our bones, all while something ancient and wild within us grows increasingly restless like a caged creature remembering flight. Joseph Campbell understood that every authentic life begins with what he called the call to adventure, that moment when the soul recognizes itself as separate from the collective dream, when the hero realizes they must leave the village of familiar expectations to discover who they truly are beneath all the borrowed identities. But here's what most people miss about this sacred departure. It's not a rejection of humanity, but a journey toward becoming fully human. The mechanical life that most of us sleepwalk through, the automatic responses, the unconscious patterns, the endless repetition of inherited behaviors. This is not living at all, but a kind of spiritual death masquerading as existence. You see, we are born into a world already thick with stories about who we should be, what success looks like, how love should feel, what meaning we should find meaningful. These stories become the invisible prison walls of our consciousness, so seamlessly woven into our perception that we mistake them for reality itself. We become actors in someone else's play, speaking lines we never wrote, pursuing goals that were never truly our own. And then one day, perhaps in a moment of unexpected silence or during a conversation that feels particularly empty, or while staring at your reflection in a bathroom mirror at a party where everyone seems to be having the kind of fun that feels like work, you feel it, the stirring of something that has been sleeping, the first whisper of your authentic self asking the most revolutionary question of all: what if there's another way to be alive? This is the threshold moment Campbell wrote about, the beginning of every hero's journey, when the ordinary world reveals itself as insufficient and the call to something greater becomes impossible to ignore. It's terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure, because answering this call means leaving behind the safety of the known, even when the known has become a comfortable prison. The path of awakening, Campbell taught us, always begins with separation. Not the bitter separation of rejection or the cold withdrawal of cynicism, but the sacred separation of the hero who must journey alone into the depths of their own being to discover the treasures that can only be found in solitude. This is why authentic spiritual growth often feels like loneliness at first. You're no longer content with the surface connections that once satisfied you, but you haven't yet learned to recognize the deeper currents of genuine intimacy that flow beneath the social chatter. Think of this as crossing the first threshold into the special world of your inner landscape. Here, in the silence between thoughts, in the space between heartbeats, in those moments when you stop performing and simply exist, you begin to encounter the guardians and allies of your own consciousness, the voice that whispers your true name, the intuition that knows things your rational mind hasn't figured out yet, the creative force that wants to express itself through your unique way of being in the world. But this territory is also inhabited by what Campbell called the threshold guardians, those aspects of yourself that have learned to fear authenticity, that would rather keep you safely contained within familiar patterns than risk the unknown territories of genuine self-expression. These are not your enemies, but teachers in disguise, showing you exactly where you've given your power away, where you've been living someone else's definition of who you are. The profound gift of this inner journey is that it teaches you the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the ache of disconnection from others. Solitude is the joy of connection with yourself. In solitude, you begin to hear the music that has always been playing beneath the noise of social expectation, your own rhythm, your own melody, the song that only you can sing. This is not selfishness but self-discovery, not isolation but integration, not withdrawal but preparation for a deeper kind of engagement with life. And here's where I want to pause and speak directly to your heart, because if you're still with me, if these words are resonating in your chest like a bell being struck, then you're already on this path whether you know it or not. You're part of a rare tribe of inner adventurers, people who are willing to question the script they've been handed and write their own story instead. I invite you to join this community of conscious travelers by subscribing and sharing your own insights in the comments below. What moment in your life felt like crossing a threshold? When did you first hear the call to something deeper than the ordinary world offered? Your story matters, and it might be exactly what another soul needs to hear to take their own first step into the unknown. Once you've crossed into this inner realm, Campbell reminds us, the real work begins, the work of facing what he called the road of trials. These are not external battles, but internal confrontations with everything you've been taught to believe about yourself, everything you've been afraid to examine, everything you've hidden even from your own awareness. The deepest trial of all is learning to trust your inner compass when everyone around you is insisting you're heading in the wrong direction. This is where the path becomes genuinely difficult, because you're no longer living by consensus reality. You're following signals that others can't see, trusting instincts they can't feel, pursuing a vision of authenticity that looks like madness to those still trapped in the mechanical life. Friends may worry that you're becoming too serious, too intense, too different from the person they thought they knew. Family members might feel threatened by your refusal to play the roles they need you to play. Colleagues might start treating you like you've joined some kind of mysterious cult, the cult of people who think for themselves. But here's what Campbell understood about this phase of the journey. The trials are not punishments, but initiations, each one designed to strip away another layer of false identity until you reach the indestructible core of who you actually are. The criticism that once would have sent you scrambling back to conformity now becomes information about who is ready for your authentic presence and who is still caught in their own mechanical patterns. The loneliness that once felt like evidence of your wrongness now reveals itself as the necessary space for your true self to emerge and stretch its wings. And occasionally, you encounter another traveler on this inner path, someone who recognizes the light in your eyes because they've been polishing the same light in themselves. These connections are rare and precious beyond measure, not because they're perfect or easy, but because they're real. They're based not on shared illusions, but on shared commitment to truth, not on mutual performance, but on mutual recognition of the sacred within each other. One genuine moment with another awakened soul is worth 1,000 conversations with people who are still sleepwalking through their lives. This is what Campbell meant when he spoke of finding your tribe, your fellow heroes who understand that the greatest adventure is not conquering external worlds but exploring the infinite territories within. If you're reading this and feeling that recognition, that sense of, yes, this is my people, this is my path, then I want you to know how deeply honored I am to share this journey with you. Subscribe not just to this channel, but to your own inner calling. Comment not just with words, but with the courage to be seen. Like not just this video, but the process of becoming who you were, always meant to be. Campbell's final teaching about the hero's journey is perhaps the most challenging, the return. After all the inner work, all the trials, all the sacred discoveries about who you really are beneath the masks, you must find a way to live this wisdom in the everyday world. This is what he called becoming the master of two worlds, someone who can function in ordinary reality while never forgetting the extraordinary truth of their own divine nature. This is not about becoming superior to others, or hiding your light under a bushel of false humility. It's about learning to be a bridge between the world of authentic being and the world of social becoming, showing through your very presence that it's possible to be fully human, without sacrificing your soul to the machinery of conformity. You discover that you can participate in the dance of daily life while never losing your center, that you can love people where they are while never forgetting where you've been. The sacred loneliness that once felt like exile reveals itself as a gift, the gift of inner spaciousness, of not needing others to complete you or validate your existence. From this place of wholeness, you can offer genuine love rather than needy attachment, authentic presence rather than performed personality. You become what Campbell called a boon to the world, not because you have all the answers, but because you've learned to live the questions with grace and courage. In this integration, you realize that the hero's journey never really ends. It spirals deeper with each turning, each new level of awakening revealing new territories to explore, new aspects of yourself to integrate, new gifts to offer the collective. The loneliness transforms into solitude, the solitude transforms into fullness, and the fullness overflows into a love that asks nothing and gives everything. You understand now that you were never meant to be like everyone else, that your differentness is not a flaw to be corrected but a feature to be celebrated, a unique note in the cosmic symphony that would be incomplete without your particular sound. The mechanical life of unconscious repetition becomes impossible because you've tasted the freedom of conscious choice, the ecstasy of authentic expression, the peace of alignment with your deepest truth. And in the end, you discover Campbell's greatest secret, that the treasure you've been seeking through all your adventures, the golden fleece of authentic selfhood, was never hidden in some distant land or secret teaching. It was always here, waiting patiently for you to stop looking everywhere else and recognize the miracle you've been all along. The hero's journey brings you home to yourself, and from that homecoming, you can finally offer the world what it's been waiting for. Not another copy of everyone else, but the irreplaceable gift of your own awakened presence.